Yeah. You wanna go to war?
Let's do it. I'm Black Hannibal, running through your capital on elephants. Civilize a savage with my elegance. Militant intelligence, run through your defense. Strike like a ninja, slice, cut, and injure. Leave no prisoners, just bodies on the battlefield. I'm Spartacus with a sword and shield. Something like a marksman with cold blue steel. War paint on my face, keep my identity concealed. Advance on your camp like dozens of killer ants. Snatch your king like chess, checkmate is his death. While my team have fun with your queen. Throw your bishops off the roof, your knights flee the scene. I plant bombs in the home of your pawns. The detonation shook the foundation of your rooks. Holding shotguns with double barrels. They impact so hard when it blasts through your body travels. Yeah. Street Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Burn your flag as I overthrow your government. New politics, no Democrats and Republicans. Spiritual systems built by wise men who's true in living. The foundation's no longer Christian. Teaching universally the wisdom of the nations. New currency, no more dollar bills with white faces. No more Caucasian domination. All races participating, cultivating education. The people hungry and they ain't waiting. No more debating. Let's overthrow the haven to Satan. This whole world needs some new changes. Rulers with new faces. It's time to take out the racists. Spartacus from the new ages. From the page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Spartacus from the new ages. From this page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers.
Peace, 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 peace. Power and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, how you doing? I hope you are doing well. And if you are not, I hope you are working on making it better. What's up, y'all? I hope you're having a great night, day, or morning. I hope your family's well. I hope your children are well. I hope you are well. And if you're not, best wishes to you. First and foremost, I want to say and send out prayers, blessings, help, spirit, assistance, finance, and rebuilding power to the people out in Florida and North Carolina. There's also Gullah Geechee land in North Carolina, the lithium and everything. There's a huge amounts of lithium which they use for smart cars and other technology out there. So want to just send best wishes and prayers and kind spirits out to them for their recovery first and foremost. Now let's talk about this particular full moon in Aries that's coming up. Now we keep getting hit with these supermoons back to back to back to back, right? So this is actually, right? So there's two things, right? The first thing is this is a continuation of the total solar eclipse that we had on April 8th, right? It was an Aries total solar eclipse on April 8th that we had. And that, of course, is that rare event, right, where people were outside, they were wearing glasses, right, where the superpowers were downloading, right? And, when people talk about superpowers downloading, people tend to think of it in like a kiddie thing, like child's play. Like they think of superpowers as if you're going to be flying through the sky, or you're going to be shooting fire out your hands, or you're going to be, have super strength or super speed, or, be able to run past speeding trains and speeding bullets, Or, you think you're going to be able to, speak to people and then control them and have them walk like zombies. There are certain realms of spiritual law that are peace, Eileen. How you doing? Peace. There are certain levels of spiritual law that come up, um, certain levels of spiritual law that come up as far as, well, let me say this, right? This Aries full moon, right? We've been having these, again, supercharged moons, and we're being pulled in. Peace of fear, peace, peace, peace. We're being pulled in. All right, it's good to see y'all. Yeah, I want to engage with the chat tonight as well. So it's good to see y'all. Good to see y'all coming in the building. Um, so let's just get straight to it, man. Again, this is a continuation of the April 8th um full moon in Aries that we had, when all the superpowers were happening. That's what I was saying. And, people think superpowers are like Marvel character powers or DC powers or, whatever powers that they have. And the superpowers are mostly powers that are intangible, right? Because the real universal you is intangible. And what do I mean? Right? There's a phrase that goes, we are humans having spiritual experiences. We're humans having spiritual experiences, right? Or we're actually spiritual beings having human experiences. Sorry, we're spiritual beings having human experiences. Okay. And to a degree that is true, right? To a degree that is true. But within these human experiences, there's also certain laws that have to be adhered to, right? It's the law of gravity, right? There's dietary laws. We have to eat to survive and have energy. You have to drink, water. You have to breathe, right? You have to get out of the water. You can't breathe on the water after, for hours like fish can, right? There's certain limits, and coming into an understanding of superpowers is that people want to be able to break those limits and have certain freedoms, um, that come with breaking those limits, right? For instance, if you could breathe underwater, man, do you know how rich you would be? Do you know how powerful you would be? Do you know how famous you would be? Do you know how much attention you would get? If you could breathe underwater, you were the only human who could breathe underwater, right? First and foremost, the government's coming after you, right? The government's coming after you. And don't worry, this is all talking about this particular full moon in Aries because I'm really on here because Spirit like told me to come on here and talk to y'all. So this is like a direct message, a DM, for instance, a chat GPT prompt from the universe that told me to, let's speak to the people. So superpowers is you want to bend those boundaries, right? Just like superheroes do, right? Or supervillains, whatever your preference is. You want to break those boundaries, right? Now, breaking those boundaries, right, requires a certain level of responsibility because of the attention that it brings to you and the level of fame that it brings to you and the level of attention that it brings to you. Now, one could surmise, right, that if this is an intelligent and orderly universe, right, which, yes, it does descend from chaos and disorder, but at the end of the day, there is order. Again, you could bet your bottom dollar that if you jump off the Empire State Building, chances are you're not going to be alive at the end of it unless there's some sort of apparatus that's going to protect you, right? Chances are you're not going to make it. So, they're going to be sweeping you up somewhere. So, in order to break that law and be able to fly or to be able to float, right, you would have to think an intelligent creator knowing what would happen. Whether it's the government, right, whether it's the secret societies, whether it's um, you know, just people in general, fans, stalkers, right? What they would do with that particular power and that particular energy, right? They would use it, right? So most likely for some sort of nefarious means, right? It wouldn't benefit the collective. Nobody would want to live in a world really with superheroes, with people with superpowers. You ever read a Marvel comic or a graphic novel or watch Avengers Endgame or Infinity War? You want Iron Man and the Hulk running through New York, right? And Doctor Strange conjuring all type of things and things coming out from the universe that you don't know about. So the creator, in bringing structure and order to the universe, creates a a structure, if you will, right? And you could call it a square, right? And that square is a sense of order, right? But in that sense of order is like gravity, right? Gravity is order. Flying though is not for a human, right? Flying without any sort of apparatus is not quote unquote natural, right? It would be supernatural for a human to fly with no plane or apparatus, right? Attached to him. So that power has to be granted to someone that is responsible and knows how to handle energy, use energy, and also handle that type of energy and use that type of energy for the benefit of the people, right? For the benefit of the whole. If the alien that becomes Superman is not, if doesn't understand humanity, right? He becomes like the character. I don't know if you guys watched the show, the animation Invincible on Prime. But Invincible is dope, and or you become like Homelander, right? And you become an oppressor, right? And that's a lot of people without this boundary, without the square, right? Which people say is under Saturn or satanic, right? Under this lock that we have where we can't physically just blast off to one of the 100 million universes out, galaxies. I'm sorry, one more of the 100 million galaxies out there or more. We can't just blast there by just breathing or by just thinking it. There has to be some sort of restriction or some sort of limit to stop that from happening, right? So now we have to get into the Genesis, right? And this is where Aries comes in, right? So we understand that we come from stardust, right? So we come from stardust. We are limitless beings at our whole. We are made of stardust. This is scientific fact, not fiction. This is not sci-fi. This is fact. You're made of stardust. So you're made of what the sun is made up of. You are made up of everything in existence, condensed into form, condensed into an avatar body, with the ability to use energy at your will. And at your will is really the key. Okay. And this is the key to magic. This is the key to prayer. This is the key to manifesting. This is the key to understanding bliss. This is the key to understanding connection, is understanding that the creator is not, and the creator, I don't mean like something that is separate from you. I'm talking the integration of the universe and you, right? The universal you that's breathing in air and breathing oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. The universal you that feeds off animals, that eats vegetables, that eat fruits, nuts, legumes, different parts of the universe that make you up. Because even you are not an island. You drink water, right? You drink things, bottled drinks, sodas and stuff that are created, right, and manufactured from other different elements, right, with fizz and sugar and shit like that. So even in this microcosm of you, there's a macrocosm that you feed off of, right? As was greatly articulated in The Lion King, the circle of life. So that circle of life is what we all feed off on, rich or poor, so-called black or so-called white, so-called Jew, so-called Gentile, so-called uh, alien, so-called monkey, so-called nigger, so-called cracker, right? We all are feeding off of these sources, right? So giving, so again, so we are all part of the universe. That is the point. Even in this, on just this planet, we are part of the universe. That's why the heart chakra is green. It represents the green grass that grows from the soil, which is a representation of the soil. The grass growing from the soil is is the soil is the mother of the grass. Remember, right? The grass isn't growing on concrete; it's growing through concrete, but not on the concrete, right? Or else we wouldn't have, these roadways and stuff like that, right? So, but grass will grow through concrete. So the grass is a representation of the soil, the same way you are blades of grass, and the soil is the universe, right? Some blades of grass look different, might be a little browner, might be a little lighter, might be a little darker, might be a little skinnier, might be a little fatter, but they all still blades of grass. If y'all follow me, press the one in the chat because I want to make sure I'm making sense and I'm not rambling, because it's you're gonna be able to understand how to harvest energy if you truly understand who you are and that you're part of the cosmology of the universe and the spiritual ecosystem. So that's why I want to start off with this premise of superpowers, because this all goes back to again to that 4/8 full moon in Aries. All right, I appreciate that. That's all I need. Right? Thank you, Sophia. So when you're creating, right, when you come into this universe, you come in as a child, right? And the child is what Aries represents. So you come from the all into an individual body. You come from stardust and you become this individual body, right? Sorry, wrong tab. Let's see. All right. No, what do y'all see? Hold on. Let me see. All right, 1 second. All right, there we go. So just to get into Aries real quick. So this Aries, the symbol is the ram, right? Aries symbol is the ram or the lamb, right? So remember, this is Sunday, so let's talk about, right, Jesus, right? And we're talking about Jesus in the form of symbolism, right? We're not talking about an actual person. We're talking about it as far as astral theology, understanding the hidden meaning, right? Understanding what's behind the hood of the car, the engine, right? That's what a symbol is, right? A symbol is the car, right? And once you understand symbolism, you're understanding how the engine run and the parts run, right? A mechanic knows way more about a car than the average person who's never been a mechanic, right? But people like cars. People love cars. People adore cars, right? People have tons of them, but they've never been mechanics, right? They've never looked under the hood. So when you're looking at this, so when you're looking at a symbol, you're looking at under the hood of the actual car, right? You're stripping the symbol is the clothing, right? And understanding the symbol is stripping it naked, right? It's making love to the symbol. or foreplay, right? Well, no, stripping it naked, right? And it's when you understand it, yeah, you've bonded with it. Now you understand the symbol, and its relevance is you seeing it again and that symbol giving off energy, right? Does that make sense? That how this the symbolism is a representation of something else. So Jesus is also a symbol representing something, right? And Jesus is a symbol of the sun, right? Jesus is a representation of the sun. He's called the Son of Man several times, the light of the world several times. We could go on and on, right? But Aries, right? The symbolism of Aries is different than adult hippie Jesus with the long hair, right? Than Jesus with the good hair, right? Or the nappy hair, however you got him, the hippie hair or the dread hair, whatever you, you know, whatever symbol you choose to use as a representation of that energy, right? And to be engaged in the mythos. And whether you think Jesus is real or not, doesn't matter. What you think is real, and what you don't think is real isn't real. It all depends what energy you give to it. So anyway, the ram, right, is basically the symbolism of the ram is uh baby Jesus, right? Jesus in the manger, Jesus the lamb, right? So the ruling planet is Mars, right? Mars is also known as the red planet. So when you're talking about Mars and the ruling planet in Mars, you're always also talking about the root chakra, inevitably, right? And you may not believe that, but the planet next to Earth is Mars, right? That's the planet right next to Earth. Who do people talk about the most? Martians, right? As another planet. So the red planet and also represents, the warrior energy, the assertive energy, right? It's the first house. So it definitely represents you being born, right? And you coming into as a baby, right? And this is the full moon. We'll get into it. Fire element, like self-explanatory, right? Again, that fire element, that aggressive, assertive energy. But it's more to that. Cardinal signs. So cardinal signs, they basically start off any cardinal signs. They start off a season, right? So this is obviously going to be in Libra season. So this is not starting off a season, but Libra season is Libra season is now, so it's already gone, so it's not starting off a season, but the energy of Aries is starting off a new season within you. You feel me? A new season within. The weather is changing within you. The forecast within you is changing. The forecast within you is resetting, right? Because this is cardinal sign energy. So it's the start of a new season. Aries is the start of spring. When Aries season starts, that's when spring starts, right? You got the spring equinox in Aries season, right? So it's the first house. The key word is assert, right? And another key word that's not here for Aries is I am. So I am is also a key word for Aries. And the I am energy is directed towards you not only knowing who you are, but totally understanding why you're here. This is the hero's journey. And you are the lamb, the baby in the manger, the baby Christ, right? Has risen, right? And as everything is springing forward, you are also springing forward. But we know it's winter sign, right? So this full moon is in Aries, but we know it's not spring outside, so it's got to bring spring inside, right? And what the other sign that this full moon in Aries is under is Libra, okay? So the sun is in Libra, the moon will be in Aries. So Libra obviously is the scale, equality, balance, justice, right? But Libra also deals with duality. And what do you see on this ram, right? Or this lamb? And a ram is nothing but a baby sheep. And didn't Jesus say, "Bring me my sheep," right? And I am the shepherd. Isn't the motif of Christianity? Again, looking at the symbolism about sheep and bringing sheep and him being a shepherd, right? And wasn't he called the lamb, right? Which is also in the bovine family. Okay. So the lamb, right, or the ram is this energy. And again, it's a baby. Even if you look at astrotheology and look at the timeline of a child, right? Aries is all about the infant. Aries is all about, Aries would be the fool in the tarot card, right? Aries is all about new beginnings and new starts and new energy. But Libra is talking about new energy in two different things, in two different areas, in two different ways, right? Right. So this calls again back into superpowers, right? Creating miracles, if you want to call it, right? Because we know there's got to be, in order to create some sort of spark, right? If you turn on a stove, you hear something flicker, right? Like a gas stove, right? You hear something flicker, which indicates that there's a spark, right? With a lighter, you hear something flick, right? Which indicates that there's a spark. And that spark means that two things are rubbing together to create that energy. Two opposing forces are in contact with each other, rubbing or moving with tremendous force against each other in order to create, or relative to what it needs to create, a spark of energy, right? And this is how things like fire are created. So these two forces, right, are symbolized in the head of the ram. So let's just get into the aspects of Aries. Aries are energetic, forceful, and outgoing, like the energy of the first rush of springtime. They move into the world in a headstrong, pioneering way and prefer starting to finishing. They tend to rush into things, which is would be, I guess, more of the negative aspect, and may also be impatient. They have great vitality and a tremendous need to be physically active. So, a baby, right, going into a toddler, right, a little lamb, right, crawling and all that, is on fours, right? Just like a ram or a lamb, on all fours is definitely has great vitality, right? They into anything, everything, putting things in their mouth, right? You got to watch them in the toilet. You got to, lock up the cabinets. Make sure they don't know how to open the doors. Put up little gates and things. You got to protect that baby. You know what I'm saying? Because they have so much energy, so much vitality. You know what I'm saying? And again, the first rush of you going from the astral realm into this physical avatar body is, you being a child, you being a toddler, you growing up under the tutelage of your parents, and you having an assertive nature, you crying when you want your bottle, you're assertive, right? The key word is assert. When you want your bottle, you're crying. When you are pamper soiled, you're crying, right? Everything is about you. You don't want something you don't like, you put something in your mouth to eat, you don't like it, you're throwing it. You know what I'm saying? Like those little babies, they be throwing their food and stuff like that. You're chucking that, you chucking that shit. You don't want it. You know what I'm saying? You're assertive, you're bold, right? It's all about you, right? So ruling planet Mars, right? And you're getting rooted as an infant. They got the terrible tools, right? Because 2 years old, right, a child starts feeding them, feeling themselves a little bit, right? They start seeing what boundaries they have with mommy and daddy. They start talking a little bit, right? This is all Aries type of energy, right? So this is the type of energy that's coming with this particular moon, right? And the fact that it's following an eclipse and it's under Libra, and again, the ram has two horns. The first thing Spirit said to me is that this is this, that this is this. This is uh Amun Ra. We're not talking about the Caucasian resembling fellow on the right, right? We're more so talking about the left, right? The ram headed deity, which represents also would represent Aries, right? So this Aries symbolism is also part of antiquity. It was also etched in stone, which means it has a vibration and connection to the earth, right? Or the earth element. Now, Amun's horn, if you look at the bottom center, is also the hippocampus. And the hippocampus, right? When we talk about Aries, we're talking about, now we have to, well, let's first, and let's continue. So actually, let's go through the descriptions of what everything is, and then we'll go into the complete science and why I said this Aries. Now, again, the sun is in Libra, so again, that bottom center. If you look at the hippocampus, you see that there's two sides to the hippocampus. Did you know your brain had horns like this in it?
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Did you know your brain had two horns in it? So when you see the devil, right, what does the devil have? Then I'm talking about the commonplace description of the devil. Somebody put it in the chat. What does the devil have when you see it? When you see the devil? And we're going to break down the symbolism as far as this new moon in Aries, because again, this is about how to harvest energy to manifest miracles. And these are things that again, if you follow me, you know I don't come out with things unless I've done it, and unless I've seen it manifest, and unless I've seen it created in my life, you know, in order to teach you guys the step by step, you know. So again, remember, so we got to stick to the Aries being the lamb, or the ram being the lamb, right? A lamb is a male sheep, right? A ram is a male sheep, right? And a lamb is a child. Okay. So the lamb, right, being the newness, right, and coming into that masculine energy, right? Again, let's I'm going off. Let's talk about this whole pictures thing. So these ram horns, right, that are in the head, that again represent Aries. It represents uh, a storehouse of energy, right? Because the brain, again, is a storehouse of energy. There's different parts of the brain, right? There's the reptilian complex, right, which is the part of you that is more stake-like, right? Is more attached to the root chakra, which is deals with movement, right, safety and security. Okay. Then there's the limbic system, which is more animalistic, more emotional, which most people are stored in their emotions and their feelings, right? That's obvious that most people choose feelings over facts. Most people choose the lie, right, over the truth if the lie is more entertaining. So, and then you have the neocortex or the prefrontal cortex, which is the reasoning part of the brain, the logic and reasoning, or not even just logic and reasoning, deduction, right? And it's kind of cold deduction, meaning it is without emotion. It actually supersedes emotion. It's like you trying to. So let's say you're trying to lose weight, and you just happen to walk by, and they're offering, samples of cake, right? As you walk by, and it's your favorite chocolate cake. Oh, you love that chocolate cake. It smell like grandma made it, fresh out the oven. You can sniff it, and it's great, right? You could feel it, you could taste it as you sniff it, right? And the neocortex is like, look, and you're on a diet, right? And that's your favorite cake, but your neocortex is like, look, you're on a diet, bro. What's better for you? You having this cake and satisfying the body, or you reaching your goal in the future. Yeah, I know it feels good. I know you could feel it on your taste buds. I know it makes you quiver just thinking about that favorite cake that smelled like grandma. I know it got your blood rushing. But you, as the god of you as the king of you as the non ether, the supreme, the eternal, what other titles y'all have? The magnificent, whatever, right? You call yourself the most high, whatever you call yourself, that you make that decision to not take the cake. So that's the neocortex. So just to get an overview of the brain, because we're talking about the brain, we're talking about how it relates to this full moon Aries, and we're also talking about this Aries assertive energy, right? So the Cometians, or the what you call Egyptians, have this symbolism, right, in two places. They have it again in stone, and they have the Kamite under it, right, or the pharaoh, the king, right. Then you have the other inscription where it is on like a black slab on the bottom, um, where it looks like that there is also a priest or pharaoh speaking, right? So the hippocampus, again, you have these two horns in your brain. So these hippocampus two horns are actually called hippocampi. And how it works is this. So you also have something in your brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala, what it does is the amygdala says, okay, let's go back to the cake example, right? So the amygdala says, cake. Yeah, I'm on a diet. Yeah, I want to lose weight. But cake, that's my favorite cake. Oh, the smell of that cake. Oh, I remember how good it tastes when it came out the oven and grandma made it and served it to me. Oh man, I remember I was like 6 years old and I had on my favorite pajamas. I had on my Superman or Scooby Doo or my Barbie underwears. And then that cake slid down and the seat was so comfortable. Oh, and grandma gave me a kiss on the forehead and told me how great I was. And that's the amygdala, right? So the amygdala, but the amygdala is even beyond that, right? It's not even that yet. Actually, I'll talk more about the hippocampus. The amygdala is more like, y'all remember this feeling, right? The amygdala is more like, I remember this feeling. That's it. I remember how this makes me feel. So you get the rush of adrenaline, right? The adrenal glands perk up, sacral chakra activated, right? Because it's something that brings you pleasure. There's a sensual aspect to it, right? So, the bottom three chakras start to get activated and they start to create a biochemical response in the body. And now you have to decide, are you going to listen to the body or are you going to listen to your directive, which is whatever you choose to do? This is the source of free will. This is where free will comes in, right? So the amygdala represents, it's in front, it's before the process of the hippocampus. So the amygdala is the sensation of the feeling of you eating that cake and you seeing that cake again and want to eat it. The hippocampus now, these two horns or hippocampi, right? These two horns in the brain, what they do is they store the memory of you eating grandma's cake. The hippocampus stores the memory of you um loving that cake. Again, getting the kiss from grandma, you having on your favorite pajamas, you getting it with a nice warm glass of milk or whatever you call it, and how it relates to the cake that you're seeing now. So it stores the memory, right? So the hippocampus is the energy, but the amygdala is the energy of it, but the hippocampus actually stores the memory. So it holds the memory, right? And the hippocampus is also looks like, or it would look like, they call hippocampus is actually, it's not looks like, but it's the name means seahorse. Okay, it actually means seahorse, which is interesting because if you could, say you have brain waves, right? Your thoughts are like ships on the sea, right? Or ships on the ocean, right? Or your waves, right? In the sea of your brain, of your liquid brain, right? On how the brain processes and blood flow and things like that. So your hippocampus, Aries. So you have your memories of how things are, right? So let's go to the top of the picture where it says the depiction of Amun Ra. And Amun is where I took you guys when we first started talking, right? Into source, right? Into you being stardust, into you being the all, into you being one with the universe, into you being an infinite being, right? Into you being more than your flesh. You not just being this avatar, but you being one with source and coming from source as stardust onto earth. So Amun is that. Amun is what they would call the subjective realm. In meditation, there's a part where you get there. It's called the void. There is no feeling. There is no emotion. There is no sensation. There is no body, right? And the more you meditate, the more you'll be able to get there. Some people go into it, in different states and different spaces, but it's really something that, a lot of people who meditate will know what I'm talking about. And this void is what Amun is. And it's going to all relate to the hippocampus and Aries in a minute. So And moon is that darkness. Ra is the light, right? Or the energy, or the chi, or the prana that comes out of that darkness, right? So people say Ra is the sun god. Yes, in the metaphor also of Ra being light, or Ra being energy, or Ra being the giver of light, right? But without, there's no light without a shadow, right? Whatever the light shines down on you, there's always a shadow present, right? On everything, there's shadows present. So the shadow is like a reminder that that is your true source. Your source is infinite darkness, right? What they would call triple stages of darkness, right? Dark energy, dark matter, black cosmic background radiation, etc., etc. So, but what comes out of that darkness is light, right? From chaos must comes order, right? So, what comes out of the darkness must come to light. What comes out of just a whole must be separated into parts. So, the hippocampus, as you see, it's in both hemispheres of the brain. It's in the left hemisphere of the brain and it's in the right hemisphere of the brain. So, the left brain deals with reason and logic, right? It deals with words, it deals with sounds, it deals with individual things. So the left brain says planets, right? The left brain says planets, the left brain says galaxies, the left brain says stars, right? That's how the left brain works. It works in parts. The right brain is holistic, is visual, it's imaginative, right? It deals with wholes, not parts. So the right brain says all the stars, the planets, the galaxies, you know, everything in the universe is just the universe. And the right brain is just the universe. It's not worried about the parts. It's not worried about the difference between Earth and Pluto and Earth and Saturn and the size difference and all that. That's left brain stuff, right? So, but both play a part, right? And going back to Aries being the lamb or the child is both play a part in the development of the child as well, right? Now we're talking about not in the physical sense of children when we're talking now about a full moon in Aries. What we're talking about a spiritual childhood. We're talking about the Fool card. We're talking about spiritual infancy. We're talking about spiritual development. We're talking about the spring, when new things arise in the spring, new flowers arise, right? People are sexually aroused, right? This is why I said Aries, and also has the correlation with Mars being the red planet because Aries is the roots, it's the beginning, right? It's what your roots are. Okay. So now that we understand the brain and we understand a little bit more about symbolism, right? And we understand a little bit more of how thoughts are processed. So we understand we have two hippocampus that represents two different sides of the brain, two hippocampi that represents two different sides of the brain, right? Now, what does a full moon do? Full moon in Aries. What does a full moon do? Well, speaking on a basic scientific, no spiritual miracle, mystical, physical, quadrilystical, you know, $25 words, what it simply does is it raises the tides, right? It raises the tides, full moons and new moons raise the tides of water on Earth, right? The full moon has a magnetic pull on the waters as the Earth rotates. It pulls on the water. It pulls water and water vapor, right? So it's raising energy. So if it's pulling water from the Earth, and by all accounts, you're eating from the Earth, whether you're vegetarian or whether you're eating animals who's eating from the Earth, because cows graze, right? So, and all other animals don't eat from the Earth. So you're eating from the Earth. Therefore, you are Earth. This physical avatar body is Earth. So therefore, by your waters, which is the blood in your body, is rising up as well. And by being symbol literate, right, we understand if blood is flowing up, it's going to, without even being symbol literate, it's going to hit the brain. That blood flowing up is going to hit the brain. Now, here's why is important, because Amun Ra is representative of two different polarities, two different variations of energy, two different frequencies, two different vibrations, two different poles, right? It's similar to night and day, with Ra being the day and Amun being the night, right? It's Osiris and Heru, right? Or Osar and Heru, right? So it's the same thing. Now, it's also called a ram's horn, right? And the ram's horn is used in a lot of spiritual celebrations. I won't go into depth on that right now, but the ram's horn is used in various mystic and occult and eclectic and secret organizations to initiate certain things, because again, the ram is signaling something new. Now, with this energy being in Libra, again, it's enhanced, right? It's just followed 3 eclipses. You know, we just had this big hurricane in Florida, right? And there's also other things happening, right? There's water in the Sahara, right? There's water in the Sahara, in the Sahara Desert. There is flooding, not even just water. There's rain, so much rain that it flooded, you know, which is crazy. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So again, the full moon, it pulls the tides, it raises the tide, it pulls water vapor. So therefore it raises the water in our body, which we are 70% water, and it pulls the blood up to our brains, right? So effectively, if the blood is going to your brain during a full moon, right, and the symbolism is Aries or the hippocampus, and the symbolism also is another dual, which is Libra, which is the scale, which is what the sun is in on the 17th, right? It bears it there is two dualities, right? There's the ram's horn or the hippocampi, and there is the duality of the scale, right? So the symbolism in there is that you have the ability to rewrite your history. You have the ability to change and transform everything. You have the ability to be renewed. And one of the reasons that you also, just looking at the environment and the social stage we're in, another reason is on the hurricane. So the first hurricane, right? Let's talk about it. So the first hurricane was, and let's get into this tab real quick. The first hurricane, right, was um the one the was it Helene? Yeah, Hurricane Helene. So Hurricane Helene came in, and Hurricane Helene came in without warning, right? And when Hurricane Helene came in, it was like it at least, it wasn't expected, because people in Florida, most New Yorkers' first vacation is going to Florida, by the way. you know, and it's one of the reasons why I've been, but I don't go, off it, because it's like it was always corny to me that was most New Yorkers' first vacation, because it's right there, it's close to us, and it's cheap, so it's their first flight usually, right? But anyway, um, but as far as Florida, people are used to like hurricanes and those type of natural events happening, and those type of weather warnings and those type of conditions occurring as far as hurricanes and you know uh hostile weather goes. So the first one, Helene, came through, right? And this is where you get the Oya. energy, right? Because it was named after a woman, right? And that correlation of Oya. And so, who's Oya? Oya is a revered goddess in African mythology, particularly within the Yoruba tradition. She is known for her control over weather phenomena and her association with natural forces such as storms, winds, and the Niger River, right? Motherland, Niger River. Her power and influence extend far beyond Africa, with her worship spreading to the Americas due to the African diaspora or diaspora. Okay. So this powerful deity personifies transformation and destruction, embodying both bravery and strength. As a fierce warrior, Oya is often considered unbeatable, asserting her dominance upon the pantheon of gods and goddesses in African traditions. Okay. So it says her role is as goddess of weather, right? So again, the full moon, weather, right? Full moon is going to affect the weather on Earth, right? It's going to change, give more energy. It's going to pull the water in your body. It's going to raise the energy up, right? It's going to raise the waters up, right? And again, there's more chance than not it's going to hit the hippocampus. So again, going back to the hurricane. So the hurricane Helene came in, and the first one was devastating, right? Again, shout out to those, as I said earlier, in Florida and North Carolina. The hurricane came in, devastation, right? But then another came in, right? And I remember everybody was like harp and weather cloud seeding and the weather and everything, and they're controlling the weather. And I was like, that may be, right? You know, that may be, that may have happened for Helene, right? That may be. But when Milton came was coming through, the next hurricane to hit Central Florida, and they were like, if you stay, you're gonna die, and just spreading a lot of fear and panic. I was like, nah. I was like, nah, B, that's not how this is going down, because the gods, they taught me from the supreme mathematics, nation of gods of earth, and there's a degree that goes what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, right? And I'm going to summarize it, but it says rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes are caused by the Son of Man, right? So I always know that whenever there's weather, you could control it. Also, you yourself, right? If you want to do an exit from New York, it should be colder than it is, and it's not right now. And that's because of this weather that we've had since this hurricane. We'll get into it though. And when you're talking about so this hurricane energy, it came through, and the second one, it was like, nah, we control this, So I didn't do a video, but I posted a both of my social media, man, just to send energy to the people, just send positive energy and for safety, And I saw a lot of people also, popping up on my timeline that were doing, holding vigils and having groups and having sessions on Instagram, and Facebook, and even prayer vigils, sending out energy, for the people for Hurricane Milton to come. And I said this one was a spirit test. I said the first one, who knows, right? Whether it's natural or the government created it, who knows, right? But I said the second one, the superstorm, I said, nah, we got control over it. But whoa, what I was saying is what you could do is if you're looking at clouds, you could look at clouds and you could burst the cloud open. You could just imagine it and you could evaporate a cloud just with your thoughts. Like go out in an open area, like an open grassy area. Like if you live in a city, it might be more difficult because of your level of focus, right? But I did this in the country, right? And I've done this similar, but maybe for I can only give you my experience. Maybe for a rookie, it wouldn't be so easy. But you could look at a cloud, right, and you could actually dissipate that cloud. You could turn that cloud into nothing, right? You could literally visualize yourself pulling. Then just gonna stare at the cloud and visualize yourself pulling on it, and the cloud will evaporate. And start with small clouds first, and then like anything, you don't want to come in and, I don't know how you hit the gym, but come in and just hit the heaviest weight, straight up. You might want to warm up a little bit before you hit the heaviest weight, right? So you warm up and with some smaller clouds, and then you work on the big clouds. And usually the bigger clouds you could take chunk by chunk, little by little. So I say all that to say, the reason that Africans even have a Oya to speak of is that they personified all of the natural elements, and all of the natural elements, occurrences, and energies within the known and unknown universe, and they personifies them or anthropomorphize the actual moral code, the dictates, the movement. They had stories and tales and legends, right, behind each deity, such as Oya, right? For instance, Oya is not the goddess of fire, right? She don't operate with iron, right? She's not the goddess necessarily of water. And Oya, you could basically say, is Storm, right, of the X-Men. All right. So when I saw all these hurricanes, I was like, yo. And then I saw the people. I said, the people got a chance, right? I said, the people have a chance. And I said, as long as people keep doing and bringing energy and sharing a good vision, they could stop this. And then when I saw this, then when I saw and I genuinely like held the vision, like for these people, for the storm not to impact them the way that they were saying it, because I know that we could change it. And in our indigenous cultures, we got rain dances and sun dances and moon dances, right? This is what we do, right? We've been causing rain. There's a documentary you could watch on Amazon Prime right now called Rainmakers, and it'll show how people who didn't beseech the deities right with the right energy and the right persuasion didn't get their miracle. And the people who did with the right energy and persuasion, they got their miracle. It's called Rainmakers. It's about African priests who make rain. Some could, some couldn't, right? I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but it's worth the watch. It's a documentary called Rainmakers. So we have control of the elements, right? So I said, okay, so we passed the test, right? And I said, humanity passed the test. And I said, this was a test, a goddess test from Oya, because she represents that, right? Or, Storm, however you want to personify it, whatever your religion, you could just say God if that's what you believe, Jesus, whatever, right? But that energy came through. That energy came through, and it was the people and their visions and their awakening, right? And there were people talking about Oil controls it, and priests and priestesses saying how they were putting things out, and just a different response, especially with all that fear that the media was pumping, and there was enough people that was like, yo, we're going to send these people some energy because we know it's coming. And at the end of the day, what mostly happened in Florida was there was tornadoes, right? After it, cyclones, and the cyclones was like, for me, right? It was a reminder of not only spiraling energy, right? How energy moves, in a snake-like swirling motion, right? How energy moves upwards from the bottom three chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, and keeps going up right to the crown. Um, but it also reminded me of growing, right? How growing up is kind of it's a whirlwind, right? You're kind of like a Yosemite Sam, right? who turns himself into a tornado, right? When you're a kid, you know, so you kind of have that energy as well. So I said, this was a passing, right? This was the universe. Because here's the thing, right? And I think my guy Travis Magus said this. Shout out to Travis. He said that when you're first dating a girl, the girl puts you through what they call a shit test. And the shit test is to see if you're really ready, to basically bequeath her, right? To take her, right? Do you have the confidence, right? And she might say something smart or something slick. You might talk to, I ain't doing, don't be talking to me. You know, you might have to say, why, why I can't talk to you? You know what I'm saying? Who you think you are, the president or something like that? And you might have to break her wall, something slick like that, right? And that's what she wants to see how you're going to respond to her energy, her aggressive energy, her assertive energy, right? And this is one where we passed the shit test because we had enough knowing. So what happened after that was we had these auroras, right? These supercharged auroras, right? That were like super crazy, came down to like middle America. I tried to see him. It was too cloudy, but I couldn't see him. But on the October 10th and October 11th, we had these auroras. Let me see if I can pull up an article. But y'all might have seen it if you're spiritually in tune. We had this aurora borealis, which are the northern lights, come down, you know, very, very, very yeah, very, very, very low. So the northern lights, right, were the gift. The northern lights were the gift. Now, why do I say the northern lights were the gift? Because if you look at your chakras, right, your chakras are rainbow colored. Now, this is one picture of the northern lights, but the northern lights or the aurora borealis, like if I show you this, it has various colors, right? You could even see just with this picture right here that the northern lights are, red, yellow. You could see a green. You could see a little bit of blue. You could see a little bit of purple, right? If you look at these pictures, there's just a wavelength, and all these colors, what they represent are the chakras. They represent images of the chakras, right? From red to purple. So the aurora borealis descending as low as it descended up into northern America, right? Usually it's up, past Iceland and all that. So, and it's only seen there. So for it to descend so low, right here in America, right, and where it was going, America said on Thursday night, America is as far south as Florida and as north as Maine. We're treated to a rare, dazzling show of red, green, and purple, right? People in are otherwise so red, and look, these are the top. And look, let's just focus on this, right? These are the top three. These are the three chakras, right? Red, root chakra; green, heart chakra; purple, crown chakra, right? You see that? So that's like the top, middle, and the bottom, right, of the whole chakra system of colors. So that was our reward, right? The reward was this strong, as it says, G3 geomagnetic storm, right? 3 out of 5 on a no AA severity level, right? And a geomagnetic storm occurs when a coronal mass ejection, an eruption of solar or light, and light is information, right? Light is thoughts, light is energy, reaches Earth, all right? So your soul is basically the stardust, right? Your soul isn't even material, right? Your soul isn't even earth. Your soul is part of earth, but it's not earth. Your soul is the spark, right? Your spirit is the air or the solar wind that connects everything. So you could look at it this way. Your soul is the dark matter of the universe, the basic background of the universe, and the dark energy is the spirit of the universe. It's the wind of the universe, right? So coronal mass ejection is basically an ejection of light that hits the planet. Now, what happens when light hits the planets is light produces photons, right? Photons or protons, right? So these protons come from the sun and they hit the planet. Protons that come from the sun and hit the planet also mingle with the electrons that the Earth gives off. When the protons from the sun hit the electrons on the Earth, right? There's also something that's here called neutrinos, right? And neutrinos are also light objects. So if you listen, you hear proton, electron, and neutron, proton, neutron, neutrinos, electrons, Earth, right? So there's an atomic connection of all of this to you. The interplay on Earth has a connection to you. Neutrinos go through the body. They're little light that goes in and out of body, in and out of matter, and scientists don't even understand it, but it is a valence of energy, right? That is emitted. So the energy of that rain, yep, yep, exactly. It is a natural rainbow. Yep, exactly. Ultra instinct. So the energy behind all of this is that with this energy that has hit the planet, we're going to have this Thursday coming up, the planet Jupiter, right? When we have this full moon in Aries, we're going to have, sorry about that. Let me do this. So we're going to have the planet, let me make sure y'all can see what I'm saying. No, put that shit. Why? All right. Okay, here it is. Oh, there it is. All right. So yeah, so Aries is what the full moon is in. Like, so again, right? It's this ram energy, this baby energy, this infant energy. All right. And it is a rush of energy, assertive energy, right? Being that it's in Libra, right? It's dealing with the the hippocampus as well, right? It's dealing with, also you could say it's dealing with the Ida and Pingala, right? It's dealing with the masculine and feminine energy, the masculine energy of the left brain and the feminine energy of the right brain, right? In other words, the universe through the northern lights and the universe through also the additional solar flares that have also been popping up, right? If you get solar flare, like I get solar flare alerts, I'm not much of a nerd with this spiritual stuff. And usually when I get a solar flare alert, I just start thinking of my dreams and my visions and things I want to manifest, right? And start to feel them in my mind. So the northern lights from the hurricane, and this also, the hurricane was a cleanup. Like it was literally like Saturday I woke up like feeling refreshed. I don't know if you guys did. Like Saturday I woke up like feeling brand new, feeling like I wanted to start brand new things, feeling like I wanted to get into brand new things, feeling like feeling like there was more, feeling like that there was not more necessarily more to accomplish, but that there was a new plateau and new energy that needed to be emitted, right? And new, just a new, just move in a new direction, change something up, change things up, move in a new direction. And it was like this, it was kind of like a spiritual refreshing. And on the 10th and 11th, that Friday, and today is the 14th, so the 10th and 11th. But we also had some on the 12th as well. We had some more auroras that came out on the 12th, right? That people was able to see. So, and there's, obviously an after effect of that still lingers. That energy still lingers. And I guarantee next week, watch, there's going to be more, type of solar flares or auroras that pop up just like this, and because we went through that spiritual battle of making sure that Milton didn't destroy Florida. And there's nothing you could tell me to tell me that it wasn't the spiritual beings that stopped that, especially the way that they were talking about it with this, with how it looked, everything, right? It was the people that made that not be what it was supposed to be. So, and it was the spiritual beings, not the common man. No offense, the common man is oblivious to how nature works towards his or her benefit, and that is for us that are learning and also us that know better to, as they say, do better, right? And not be locked into fear and not be locked into, rooted in fear, because the root chakra isn't bad. It's what you're rooted into, Are you rooted in bullshit, or are you rooted in good soil, You're rooted in bad soil, you're going to be a weed, If you're rooted in good soil, you're going to be a plant, If you're rooted in real great soil with good seeds, you're going to be a fruitful plant, right? And multiply. So, so again, so Going back to the brain, this is what's going on. This particular full moon is going to be on. So October is the eighth month. October is also in the eighth month in astrology. Not, we're not talking about the, Julio Greco Roman calendar. We're talking about the astrological calendar, and it's the eighth month, the eighth house, right? So the eight, right, is also tied to April 8, 4/8, right? Again, when the last eclipse was in Aries. So think back to what you were doing there, what you were thinking about there, what you were visualizing there, and see how those things panned out, and if they did pan out, give thanks. If they didn't pan out, then we still have more work to do. You know what I'm saying? But this is another opportunity to start off fresh. It's kind of like a cleansing of, I hate to say cleansing of the sins, but yeah, cleansing of the sins. So here's the theme, right? So there's all this energy on the planet. I have to lay this foundation, right? There's all this energy on the planet right now, and you have this beautiful brain, right? This beautiful brain, and the brain is really just a vessel. Your whole body is really just a vessel for the heart. At the end of the day, the body is really just a vessel for the heart, right? The heart is like the real powerhouse of the body. This is why the Cometians or the Egyptians, they threw away the brain and they kept the heart, because the heart is the real source of who you are. The heart is what's comes when you're born. The heart is the first things that's formed. So you're really in service to your heart at the end of the day, and your heart has no racism. Your heart has no creed or class. Your heart has no difference. Your heart just wants to breathe and be free to breathe, right? Your heart just wants to breathe and be free to breathe and continue to give you energy, right? So it can stay pumping, right? So it wants to survive. So the heart is the first thing, again, that's formed when you're born. So there is a connection, right? Like obviously to the heart, to the brain. So listen, what you want to do on this particular full moon in Aries, being that again, Sun is in Libra, Aries, two horns, the hippocampi. What you want to do is you want to do, now that we are in the fall and the leaves are falling, okay? Plants are dying, right? Or changing colors, right? And losing their vitality, right? This is the time when you want to do your shadow work. And how are you going to do your shadow work? Using the energy of Amun Ra. So if Amun is the darkness and it represents the darkness of the universe, you have to realize that when you come out of the darkness in the universe and you come into humanity and you start to deal with human traumas and human discrimination and human lies and human deception and humans, putting boundaries on you, and you learning the boundaries, right? Different traumas. This particular etching on you, right, becomes part of the subconscious. So it becomes a shadow, right, over your subconscious, because most of the times you don't reveal your traumas just to everybody. People aren't walking around saying, "Hey, I'm an alcoholic. Hey, I'm a drug abuser. Hey, I pop pills every night. Hey, I'm a slut." Like people don't just walk out and around and tell you who they, their shadow stuff, what they really are, nor do they tell you what caused them to have this behavior, right? Or do they even know a lot of times what caused this behavior, right? Have they even looked into that shadow aspect? So a shadow is a part of the subconscious. So it is also hidden, it is also in the darkness, right? It's not revealed in the light of the sun. But the shadow of our moon, right? That shadow has to be giving light, right? It has to be, because that shadow is not, if it's not giving light, it is not giving love. If it's not giving light, it's not giving love, because light is love, right? Everybody loves a sunny day. Everybody loves sun on the beach. Everybody loves summertime, right? People like the sun. People like, if you walked around and every day was night, this would be a pretty dreary place. This would be like Gotham City 24/7. Nobody wants that, right? But also, spiritually, light is information, right? Light is knowledge. That's why there's a light bulb when there's an idea, right? You see a visualization or a symbol of a light bulb because light is information. Light is what brought us the TV, the microwave, GPS, the refrigerator, all these modern things that we have that we don't appreciate and we take for granted, but they're all aspect of light that come down. So, and it's light that comes from darkness. It's light that comes from the darkness of the subconscious. Because where else could it come from? Where else could it come from? And there's light in the darkness because when you close your eyes and you go to rest, some of you lucid dream. Some of you, quote unquote, astral travel, right? Which is lucid dreaming. Even though people don't call it that, but it's lucid dreaming. And if you escape your body and you astral travel, you're still lucid dreaming. You're still aware and able to make decisions and travel. In that darkness, with you sleeping, you have nightmares, you have dreams, you have visions, you have thoughts, you hear words. Some people, their ancestors come to them in their dreams. Some people are dealing with succubi, different spirits that come to them and literally take them, R-word them in their dreams, right? These are real facts. So in the darkness, there's all type of light. Oh, there's all type of light. There's all type of light hidden within the darkness, you know? Now, what you have to do, or the depiction, or why this particular ram head was called Amun Ra, right? Or darkness, Ra being the light, right? Which is where you get the word ray, right? Ra or ray, you know, um, or ray of light, right? And it's also in the word ram. Okay, so you even in the word ram, I'm just looking at it like, oh, so even in the word ram, Ra. So this light that you bring is what's most important to the shadow that's in the darkness. Because the light that's in that shadow, right? The light that's or the what's hidden and what's blocking, let me say that like this, what's blocking your complete access to the subconscious and the gifts of the universe that are within that subconscious is the depths of your shadow over it. I'm going to say that again. What's blocking your access to the subconscious is your depths of shadow that is over it. So the depth of trauma, the depth of anger, the depth of hate, the depth of I don't like, the depth of envy, the depth of jealousy, right? The depth of fear, the depth of insecurity, the depth of depression, the depth of anxiety, the depth of loneliness. These things block access to the subconscious mind because, again, when you come from the universe, you come as a lamb, you come as an Aries, you come as a baby, you come imprinted with nothing but an energy, right? And that energy needs light, or that energy produces, or that out of that, or that energy, that darkness comes light. But that light, right, is information. And the light you have is going to be different than the light you get from your parents, right? Or people that are raising you, or people that are teaching you, right? And some of those people put imprints on your subconscious, on your limits to your subconscious, on limits to your shadow by telling you you're dumb, you're not smart, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're a dummy, right? And they say this in repetition, and some say this to their children in repetition and don't think it has any effect, right? But it has an effect on the imprint because the baby is the tabula rasa, the lamb is the tabula rasa. There is a blank slate. It's a blank slate. And this blank slate is something that you could put. This blank slate is something that you could put anything. You could program it essentially. It's like a blank hard drive. You could put anything on it and access it at any time. And so you're programming a child basically. So we're not children anymore though. And that's the thing about us. And that's the thing about, again, tying into and about to close on this. That's what this energy is about. This energy that's going to be on October the 18th, October the 17th. 7 plus 1 equals 8. October is the eighth house. I'm sorry, well, the eighth month in astrology would be October, right? Or the eighth season, right? Well, actually, we're going into the eighth house, right? But going into the eighth house, right? There's still going to be the eighth day, right? Oct from octopus is the eighth month. That's what I meant to say. October is the eighth month. Oct is eight, just like an octopus. And then you have the 17th, which adds to the eighth, which is this Thursday, Jupiter Day, on abundance and all. Jupiter is the planet of abundance. Jupiter is the planet of spiritual insight. Jupiter is the planet of knowledge. Jupiter is the planet of good luck. Jupiter is the planet of optimism, right? Well, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system right now that we know of, or that we've been told. But if you have been an astral traveler, you've seen Jupiter yourself, right? So you so on this particular day of luck and abundance and greatness, right? This is when we're having this particular full moon in Aries. So you have to write yourself a new story. You have the ability to write yourself a new story. And how you write yourself a new story is by going into your memories. And if we go back to the earlier example I had with the girl with the cake, right? Who's trying to lose weight, but she walks by her favorite cake. The girl has to, in her subconscious, create a new feeling and a new vision and a new thought about cake. She almost has to despise cake, right? Or she has to have no feeling about it at all, and she has to let the feeling pass. See, the thing is, if you have a feeling and a craving, most of the time you could wait it. You could That feeling or craving will go away if you fight against it for a couple of minutes. Eventually, it'll go away, and that's for whatever it is: cigarette, drinks, weed, whatever. It'll go away after a while, you know. But it's up to you to resist that craving, right? But the way you resist it is you need energy. Most people can't get rid of addictions because they don't have the energy to get rid of addiction. They don't have enough chi. They don't have enough ra. They don't have enough power. They don't have enough energy from the subconscious, from the dark realm, from dark matter or dark mother in order to imprint upon their hippocampus new memories. If you've been assaulted, if you've been hurt in any way, if you've had bad relationships that left an imprint on you and you know it's affecting you in some way, you have the ability to go back. So the lady that's craving their cake, she has the ability to look at cake a different way. She has ability to change that memory of how that cake makes her feel, to not like that cake, to be disgusted by that cake. And doing repetition over and over and over, she won't like the cake anymore. She won't want the cake. And instead of the cake, she'll have a vision of herself losing the weight that she wants. She'll have herself a vision of herself pushing the cake away and her on a treadmill or doing squats and her achieving the ideal body that she wants with the big booty and the nice breast and the cute waist and all that and the nice thighs and all that. She'll get all of that and she'll visualize that in her brain, right? Instead of the craving for cake, now it's the craving to go to the gym. Now it's the craving to work out. Now it's the craving to achieve that because now you took the energy that you had for cake and put that energy now into your goals and your vision. And one of the best ways to do that, Libra, is a air sign, right? Is through breath work, right? Meditation, breath work. This is kind of one of those rituals. Again, it's an Aries thing where you want to tap within because the leaves are falling. You could let some trauma fall as well. You could let some old things go. You could be a hero in your imagination. You could be a hero in your dreams. And if you're not going to meditate and, do any of these things, you could do this stuff first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Get a journal and write about them. Write yourself. If you've been assaulted or hurt by someone or something, first of all, figure out what that is. Like, use this week up to Thursday to write about what you journal about it. Like, don't just think about it, like, actually write it out. Like, I always recommend people writing out their life story or writing out things, certain things that happened to them. One, writing it out allows you to get it out of your head, right? And it's therapeutic. Instead of giving it or pillow talking it to somebody who doesn't even like you, is going to use that information again, and you giving it to them before you even know you could trust them with $1, right? Because people do that, right? They'll have amazing sex and then they'll tell somebody all their secrets. Next thing you know, a month later, they're using all their secrets against them because you didn't take time to vet that person and you just went off of emotion and the feeling. And now you're spilling all the beans, so to speak. You didn't use discretion or know how to use discretion. So, coming into an understanding is that of your power to change the perception of anything. And the key to life is perception. You could start with a political candidate. If you hate Trump or you hate a Kamala, right? Put a new energy behind it, right? Next time you see it, think of you getting money, or think of money coming into your hand, or think of you being with somebody you love, or think of healing, or think of whatever, right? Use that, change the energy and the perception around it. And what it'll do, it'll release the stain of the negative shadow aspect and it'll lighten it. This is the heart becoming light as a feather. And this is where the sun being in Libra comes in to this full moon in Aries. Because if you have all these heavy traumas, right? And again, the symbol of the trauma was the hurricane. The symbol of trauma was the hurricane, obviously, right? Helene came through, caused wreck, right? Obviously. And the wreck of Helene is similar to the wreck that happened in the past of our lives. It's similar to the bad parenting. It's similar to the abuse. It's similar to the betrayal by friends, betrayal by loved ones. It's similar to you not being able to trust anybody. It's similar to all that, right? But what we have to understand is we have to gain energy in order to do this. So this is an energetic pathway, right? That's given to us via the universe, the northern lights, via the full moon, via the signs that it's in, and via the power that we have to cure and heal our memories, which is what the hippocampus is all about. It's all about your memories. The hippocampus holds memories, it stores memories, but not just the memory, the feeling of the memory, the emotion behind the memory. That's why there's two hippocampi. The left brain is the memory. The left brain is, okay, um, this girl took my money, right? This girl, she said she loved me. She ain't love me. She just took my money and left me, right? That's the left brain. The right brain is the feeling. It's the emotions. It's the holistic aspect of it. It's how you feel about the situation, right? What is it? How does it embrace? How does it type of hold does it have on the whole body, right? And you all know when you're hurt, it affects the physical body, it affects the whole body. But you're also thinking thoughts, right? You might think I want to kill that MFer, right? You're also thinking, right? There's also thoughts. There's also reasoning, right? There's also a process going on, right? As well as there's a physical feeling as well. There's an emotional feeling as well, right? So emotion isn't bad. What's bad is not knowing how to manage your emotions. Not knowing how to utilize those emotions. Is not knowing how to select emotions for certain situations. For instance, there's certain emotions that are used when you're in courtship or you're talking to a man or a woman or you're dating them, right? You may not be as assertive. You may be more relaxed. You may not, you know, you may have a certain decorum, right? Whatever, right? There's certain ways that you act around someone that you're with versus someone that you don't like, or versus someone that you're not comfortable with, or versus someone that's just a friend. So all those things are different spirits. So spirituality is really about knowing how. It's not about spirituality. A lot of people think spirituality is about being good or bad, right? Spirituality is not about being good or bad. Spirituality is it's apex about knowing what spirit to tap into, how to tap into that spirit, and how to use that spirit for your benefit here on earth and here for the collective. And your purpose here on earth is to serve the collective in some way. Because again, we come from the great source. We come from all is one. And your purpose as, and it may not be, preaching or speaking or lecturing. Your purpose may to be make socks. Your purpose may to be make shoes. Your purpose may be to build the next great AI tool, right? Your purpose may be to build a quantum computer, right? The next level of, yeah, your purpose may be different, but something that's going to serve the world. Jeff Bezos, for instance, his purpose, he liked books. His purpose was to get books to people without them going to libraries and get them to them home, get it to their home fast, right? And he lived out his purpose and expanded on it. Everybody has a purpose, and understanding your purpose is going to need you to tap into the subconscious. Spirit is going to need you to be able to tap into that subconscious, because the subconscious is your soul, but your spirit needs the key to access that subconscious. And the key comes in to what you feel about certain situations. So this is really, this particular full moon is going to be intense, and there's going to be a lot of things that are thrown in people's faces, whether they want to see them or not, but the key is energy. How do you source energy? Well, one of the ways you source energy is full moons and new moons, again, because they raise the tide and they raise the water in the body, and they raise it up to a level that could impact the brain and impact the different left and right hemisphere of the brain, right? So you're able to, do certain rituals and impact the planet based on those, those aspects of based on those aspects of a planetary energy shift during the full moon. So you could change things with that particular energy. And as above, so below, from the microcosm to the macrocosm, from the internal to the external, right? It's all what you want to do with it, right? It's also like a good time to get into anything that's in depth with yourself, right? Spiritual study. If you want to start some, like a new book, on magic or anything esoteric or anything spiritual, right, or anything self-help, it's a good time to dive into that. Good time for readings, good time for oracles, things like that. Good time to go to the priest and kind of see what your new year is going to look like, right? But the main thing is you want to engage in these both hemispheres of the brain and see how you could heal them. For example, if you know how the left hemisphere works, it works at logic, reasoning, and also structures and also parts. Well, you want to look at your life and see how is your life structured, right? Do you have a morning ritual? Do you have an evening ritual? Right? Do you have things that you do that are centered around your personal spiritual development? Right? Even if it's learning magic, and how to do certain spells, right? Do you have time and set aside time for practice, set aside time for learning, not just copy things on YouTube, but have a full understanding for yourself. So if somebody asks you, you don't have to send them a YouTube video. If somebody asks you, you don't have to send them an Instagram post or somebody else's page. You understand it for yourself. So you could teach somebody, you could teach a child, right? In your own way and in your own manner. So this is a good time for starting a journal, right? about what 2025, what you want it to look like, what 2024 held, right? Don't wait till the end of the year. Now, when the leaves are falling and everything is changing, ride the wave of that particular frequency. We always talk about frequency and vibration in this culture. Well, ride the waves of it, right? Just like you have brain waves have different frequencies, sound waves have different frequencies, right? We want to ride these different frequencies. The different frequencies produce different emotions, right? Different emotions carry different energy. See, thoughts alone don't carry energy. It's the thoughts or the verbal with the image, right? So, but you have to have some sort of structure. That's what the left brain is saying. You have to have some sort of structure, right? So look at your structure, look at your life. And this is a time this week up until Thursday. It's really a time for a lot of introspection, a lot of meditation. If you could get out in nature, ground yourself, right? Put on your crystals, right? And really be intentional about what you want 2025 to look like. If you're going through any type of crisis, whether it be financial or whatever, a vision of what what it's looking like, or what you can do to fix it or remedy it. And if you can't do anything, how can you find peace in the situation? Because you're not going to be happy if you're broke. You're not going to be happy if you're sick. You're not going to be happy if you lost a family member, or something devastated happened. You're not going to be joyful, but you can find peace in those situations. And the peace in those situations will turn the tide of, you going into deep depression, uh, lose your job, drunkenness, alcoholism, like, you know, these things, these traumas affect us in various different ways and cause various things to happen, right? And a lot of people are taking drugs to try to fix things, these beta blockers and things like that. But really, you have the spirit of your breath. Again, Libra, Sun is in Libra, it's an air sign, right? And the fire is your heart, which again is the first thing that was formed when you were born. So the fire is your heart. That is your connection to the all. And your connection to the all means that you would go back in time through your imagination, through whatever trauma that's occurred, and reprogram it. Give it fresh energy. You be the winner. You be the warrior. You be the killer. You be the gangster. You be the executioner. You be the judge. You be the disciplinarian. You be the superhero. You be the supervillain. Whatever it takes for you to put new energy, peaceful energy, because you don't want to go in there with just anger. That might be the best. And you go into your imagination and go into your breathing and tap into that theta brain state, right? You may not. And look, a reason I always talk about meditation and getting into that theta brainwave state, which is enacted again. If you don't want to meditate, that theta brainwave state is available for you the first 15 to 20 minutes upon you waking, and the last 15 and 20 minutes before you go to sleep. Tap into those times with some writing, right? Tap into at least that energy, And I would say with that writing, add some visualization to it, right? Draw. If you're not going to imagine while you write, draw a picture of what you're trying to say or what you're trying to visualize, even if it's stick figures, right? Because again, it's about engaging the memory. It's about engaging those Ammon's horns. It's about engaging the Ammon Ra, the darkness and the light, right? The emotion, right? The motion and the logic, right? The visual, right? And the uh, the visual and the verbal, you know, the logic and reason along with the imagination, logic and reason along with the imagination and the visualization. And the right brain is where you put it all together, right? So you got the logic, the plan, the structure, right? And the right brain is where you're going to imagine it. Like, what's the end result going to be? With all this work, what is it going to produce? And you're going to see you doing the work, and you're going to see yourself at the end receiving what you want to receive. because spirit knows that you want certain things. Spirit knows you want a nice house. Spirit wants you knows you want a nice car. Spirit knows you wants hundreds of dollars in the bank. Spirit knows you wants millions. Spirit knows what you want. The universe knows what you want, but the universe is more concerned what you need, because what you need will get you through what you want, and what you need sometimes is a spiritual ass whipping. They said the hurricane Helene came through a lot of sundown towns. What you need sometimes is an ass whipping, right? What you need sometimes is spiritual, and whether the government did it or not, it's still under the law of the divine. It's still under the law of God. It's still under the law of spirit. It couldn't happen even with the weather seeding machine or tarp. That came from an idea. That came from light that was in someone's mind. So that thought originated in the darkness of our moon, right? It originated in the darkness of dark matter or dark energy. So it already came out of the subconscious. It already came out of the collective. It already came out of the universe. So it's under the governance of the laws of that universe. So stop thinking man is more important than the divine. But this is just a time where you really want to look at, like, again, your steps, your how you have your life ordered, and you want to look at how you feel about certain things when you go about your day to day, just how you feel about certain things. How do you feel about money? How do you feel about the opposite sex? How do you feel? Like, you have to do some self analysis to really tap into this. And once you tap into this and you have less heavy energy around whatever's feeling negative, whatever brings you down, whatever makes you feel, and you remix and change that energy. And again, if not through meditation, call on your ancestors for help. Get a glass of water and a candle, put down your favorite crystal, light some incense, man, and, you know, ask your ancestors, go to your altar and ask your ancestors for help. Your ancestors are within your DNA, so they're always ready to help you before any deity, right, before any Oya, Oshun, Ogun, Heru, any deity. Your ancestors are there. So tap into that frequency. It's available for you at all times, and it's very easy to access. I just gave you the code, right? White candle, glass of water. Uh, you can put some pictures of your ancestors up, some crystals, right? Whatever crystals you like. It could even be some jewelry from your ancestors, right? Just something to represent the earth element. It could be flowers, right? And some incense to represent the air element, right? But also your voice over the altar represents the air element as well. So you can ask for assistance and don't be too proud to beg, right? Passion works. Passion works when you're trying to get something in life, right? Passion works when you're trying to, entice or seduce a sexual partner, right? There's a level of passion that is involved. So passion makes things happen. So really look at how you, like, if you were scared during the second hurricane and you thought the worst was going to happen, like, analyze why. Like, what was it about the news that made you feel that way? And how can you look at something like that and change in the future, change the energy? Like, next time a hurricane happens someplace, what will you think about it? You know what I'm saying? Next time you see Trump on TV or Kamala, how will you feel? Are you peaceful or do you feel angry? This is the knowledge, true knowledge of self, right? This is understanding self. This is what knowledge of self is all about, because these things are blocking you access. Your memories are blocking you access to opening up parts of your pineal gland, to opening up the left and right hemisphere of your right and left hemisphere of your brain fully, and to create neural connections that fire and rewire on a constant basis that serve you rather than hinder you. fear that's bringing you tons of cortisol and poisoning you and sending you to the hospital and to addictions and to terrible diets and to bad relationships and to foggy thought and foggy imagination and bad decisions because you're eating bad. So your mood is bad because the serotonin, which comes from your gut, is corrupted with all sorts of dyes and preservatives and fertilizers and things that are now in your system. See, the reason that people diet or spiritual people should diet or have a diet that is consists of a lot of greens, a lot of juicing, if you want to, um, you know, a lot of sun foods, right? Fruits, greens, veggies, fruits and veggies, things like that, right? Fish, things that are more holistic and easier to digest than meats is because so you could channel energy. That's it, nigga. It ain't necessarily for you to have a longer life on earth. You're here as a vessel. And when your time is up, your time is up. Look how great Tupac was in a limited amount of time. Look how great Jimi Hendrix was in a limited amount of time. Prince, we go on and on, right? People who died early that were very, very impactful and very, very great and impacted the world in profound ways at young ages and died early. So eating right is not for you to have a long life. That's not yeah, that's great. Yeah, longevity is cool, but you can have all the healthiest body and work out and be as fit as you want. And a plane, you know, God Allah, Buddha forbid, run right into your house and blow your ass up. So it's about not being, how can I say this? The best way to say it is the easiest is about energy, nigga. Like it's about energy. That's what the full moon brings. That's what the aurora brings. That's what the solar flares bring naturally. That's what the yoga brings. That's what the exercise brings. That's what the capoeira brings. That's what the Pilates bring. That's what the fitness brings. That's what the diet or the eating living foods, sun foods, fruits, veggies. That's what that brings. This is what reading books and giving you light, and this is what study brings, and this is what stepping out and doing different things and stepping out of your comfort zone and learning different things does. Right? It brings you more energy. If I'm in a situation and I read a book on human behavior, I have more I have more tools in my energetic toolkit that are available to me versus someone who doesn't. If I understand symbolism and occultism and esoteric magic and spiritual science, right? And I have these as my tools on my tool belts, then when hurricanes happen, I won't be scared. When Elon Musk builds new robots called Optimus, right? And I won't be scared, right? I'll understand that technology is going to happen, it's going to change, and things are going to change. That's life. Life is natural evolution. I lived in an era where there was no internet, where there was no smartphone, where there was no Wi-Fi. So I've seen things change as drastic changes in my lifetime, where some people in their lifetime haven't seen this type of drastic change. I've seen drastic changes in my lifetime. I've also seen the safety of you niggas improve. Right? I've seen a time where people was getting robbed. Like I see all these people with their iPads and this and headphones just walking around proudly. There was a time with the before the camera phone, cell phone, uh, you know, surveillance everywhere where people was getting robbed left and right for valuables. You couldn't be out there unless you was thorough with certain things. Now, all type of people out without wearing certain things, which is cool. That's how it's supposed to be. But I'm just saying that things change over time. But you could change over time as well. Right? Nothing stays the same, and you don't have to stay the same. And the energy of this particular time with the correspondences, right? Even with the 8-8. right? And the last full moon that we had in Aries being 4-8, right? Or the October being 8 and the 17 being 8, right? October 17th, when this new moon was happening, being the number 8, it's and also in Aries, it's like 8 is build and destroy. It's a give and take, it's an exchange of energy, you know. So those of you who do have altars, you definitely want to leave an altar offering this particular full moon, whatever. And if you don't know, just ask your ask, like ask your go start. And this is the problem, right? Everybody want to do magic and curse and hex and bind and do all type of shit, but they haven't done the basic principles. This is why there was a mystery school, because there's levels in the school before you achieve. You got to go through elementary, junior high, high school, right? And then college, and you could go out to your master's and, higher learning, right? PhD and all that. But there's levels, right? There's a hierarchy. You don't just come out the gate watching a couple of YouTube videos and think you're going to be a master magician. No, it's going to take time, because you have to have a certain energetic frequency to become magic. See, the point you don't get, and the reason I always talk about breath work is because you got to be the magic if you got nothing. What if you don't have no candles? What if you don't have no herbs? What if you don't have um a crystal? What if you don't have an altar? Does it mean you're not connected to your ancestors? No. You connect with them through the air element, through the breath element, and through the fire breathing, and through there's fire breathing as well. There's also, again, but all these modalities, again, awakening your kundalini, all these things contributed to that, contributing to the raising of energy from the lower chakras up. This is why during full moons they have what they call lunacy or lunatics, because a lot of people can't handle that particular energy because it's so high, it's so powerful. The vibration is so powerful, that people can't handle that frequency. They can't handle that vibration, and they go nuts because that energy is rising to the crown. But if you don't understand how to use it, right, it's going to be having your body hype, right? We've all been on the full moons. We know when there's a different feeling of the full moon and your body has more energy than normal, right? But energy is how you use it, right? You could give a person who has no money management skills $1 million, or a person who's took accounting, right, and has already invested $1 million. That $1 million is going to be spent two different ways by two different people, right? One is going to waste the money more than likely. Another one is going to make double or triple or quadruple that money, right? Because of their experience. So your free will is your choice to choose which direction you'll go in life. But you have to get away and lighten the blocks of your subconscious. And the blocks in your subconscious, being that this is also Libra season, you're going to see a lot of that in your relationships with people, your relationships with family, your relationships with loved ones and lovers. You'll see what's needed in you to address, to look at, to discuss. And this discussion again could be had in the journal. This discussion could be had with you getting a reading. This discussion could be had with you learning your birth chart, with you learning your numerology, with you understanding, the day you were born and what planet that was under, and all learning your human design. Again, all these modalities are there for you to get energy. The goal is godhood. But do not think, they said this in Game of Thrones. I forgot the exact quote, but she said it fire. Not Game of Thrones, House of the Dragons. She said to her son, because her son on House of Dragons, right? He hit the the king died, and they were scheming or whatever. But the king died, and the daughter's son became king, and he was wilding out at first, right? He was He was the king, but he thought that simply because he was king that he could be reckless. And she told him, "Do you think just because you have a crown that makes you king? Do you think because you have a crown that makes you king? A crown is just an ornament. Just because you wear, just because you have 20 altars and you work with a dozen or so deities and you've been doing all sorts of magic and witchcraft and you know blessings and financial abundance has come your way and blase blase blah level of fame you've reached, you think that you've achieved godhood. But godhood has nothing to do with the treasures and trinkets of the world, of the planet. Godhood has to do with helping propel the planet move forward. Godhood has to do with you being in peace, in joy, perpetually, and knowing how to manage those states, but also knowing when you need to react in a more aggressive and assertive manner as well, right? Because there's a spirit for everything and understanding which spirit to use at which spirit at time. And this makes you one. This makes you an Asor. This makes you an Osiris. That's why when you see Asor and Osiris, you see the crook and the flail because it represents unity. It represents oneness with all polarities. And this particular full moon is giving oneness to both polarities. So it's really time to one, handle the shadow work, right? Look into those shadows up until this new moon. Use these up in the coming 3 days to prepare for Thursday. See what may be holding you back from your abundance, what may be holding you back for love, and really be honest with yourself. And don't lie to yourself. And take time in silence, take time in nature, right? Ground if you need to, right? And if you can't ground, man, put your hand on a tree. Hug a tree. I can tell you personally, trees is giving up information. Trees are giving up information right now, baby. If you put your hand on the tree and you want some answers and you've been doing the spiritual work, you will get your questions answered. I promise you. And you may not like the answer, but you're going to get that answer. You're going to get that answer. So, becoming an Asar or an Osiris was the goal of the commission, was the goal of people in the Egyptian mystery school system, so called Egyptian mystery school system. The goal was that man would become a divine being. He'd understand both forces of the left and the right brain, the left brain being the external, representing the flail, which is the instrument with the tassels, and also having representing the external polarity again, reasoning, logic, things that are external, and the crook, which is the right brain, representing everything that is internal, imagination, visualization, right, etc. But also understanding that there are two polarities out there. There's high frequency and low frequency, and both frequencies must be used at different times, right? So the person you call bad or the person you have evil, someone will is a someone they're an angel to someone. You know, I remember, you know, growing up and getting into trouble when I was young, and people giving me like look starting to change their perception of me and looking at me like I was a bad person. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not a bad person. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just need this money. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm selling drugs. Yeah, I'm doing robberies, but I need money. Like, I'm in my root chakra. I'm in my survival mode. You know, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know which direction to go. All I know is that I need to survive. And I'm not getting any type of insight and any type of help. So this is all I know how to do. There was no internet in the 90s. So, if that was the case, I'd have been getting my money on the net, cell phone money, right? There's a lot of money out here now if you know what you're doing, right? And if you take some time to get into solutions to your problems instead of more problems for your solution. And I'll say that again. If you take your time to find more solutions to your problems, then you find problems for your solutions, right? And that's the type of energy that you have to work off. But you're not going to be able to work off that if your energy is low. You're not going to be able to. That's the unique thing about full moons is full moons naturally raise your energy for a couple of days. And what you do with it is up to you, whether you do ritual, whether you do spells, whether you do meditations, whether you do visualizations, right? And the same thing happens during the new moon, by the way. It's just you don't see it. So people act like, because you can't see it with your physical eye, right? It's more, it's not something that's really as celebrated as the full moon, but they both have the same potency. So the full moon, you can actually intensify whatever your attention was during the new moon. So it's a chance to kind of double it up or see the progress from the new moon to the full moon in whatever your desire was or whatever you're working on internally. Magic isn't just for getting things, people. It's not just for manifesting cars, homes, or trucks, or women or men, or relationships, or hurting someone. Magic ultimately is about you using the powers and the superpowers you gain, right, in order to show yourself to be a vessel of the divine. And that's to show light, right? That's to show love. But that's also to put the flail on them, right? To hit them if they get out of line. That's also to show that you ain't one to be fucked with. Royalty is not one to be fucked with. There's no king or emperor that's worth their metal if they don't have any power. If they don't display any power, they're considered weak and they'll be out of here. So your spiritual power is knowing how to understand both polarities of energy, positive and negative, right? And still use them in the aspect of love. And what is love? Love is compassion that leads to empathy. Love is empathy that leads to compassion, and that compassion leads to you giving without seeking anything in return. Nothing else is love. All other relationship things you could purchase. You could purchase sex. You could purchase companionship. You could purchase any other aspect of the relationship, right? But love, someone who gives to you without seeking anything in return. Someone who really tries to put themselves in your shoes and understands you and can feel you, not only logically, but can feel you physically and has empathy for you no matter your race, class, creed, or country. That is Osirian energy. And it leads to some sort of work, right? And it leads you to fight against enemies. It leads you to go to war against enemies. It leads you to display your royalty, but royalty with a sense of dignity, not pride, but dignity. Go back and watch Black Panther, how he ruled, how he ruled Wakanda, right? People say Stan Lee wrote it, but this is Stan Lee's image at the time when melanated people were going through hell. This was his image of, at the time, of the melanated man and woman, and he put it in comic form. So because he's Caucasian, he's not tapped in, or he wasn't tapped in? Or was he just a vessel of the divine to convey a certain story throughout his pantheon of gods and goddesses called Marvel characters? So tapping into this full moon in Aries is about, again, the alignment of the left and right brain, the tool to help align, or one of the tools, I should say, to help align the left and right brain is the hippocampus or Ammon's horn or Amun Ra. These two hippocampi on both sides of the brain are the energy for the memories that you currently have. And will be the energy, will store the energy for the memories that you currently make. And this energy produces and secretes hormones in the body that produce actions. But this energy has soiled a lot of us through our traumas, through our conditions, through our hatreds, through our hurts, through our pains. And now, it's again, as the leaves fall, it's time to let some things fall, and it's time to let some things go. And sometimes you got to forgive, as corny as that sounds. And the reason you forgive is not for them, it's for you. It's to let the weight go, is to become as light as a feather so you can access deeper recesses of your subconscious. This is all about you tapping into your spiritual powers. Because, like I said at the beginning of this, if you weren't here, that in order to tap into superhuman powers, which will give you a lot of attention, which will get you attention from the government, which may get you riches, have the power to destroy, and have the power to build. And the creative force source in the grand design allowed that in order for you to tap into certain spiritual abilities, you had to have a sense of spiritual law. You had to have a moral compass, as they say. You had to have your own boundaries of how you would treat other people who are just reflections of you. Because again, we're all breathing the same air, drinking the same water, and some of y'all are sleeping with the same people, just in different bodies. So we all have work to do, and definitely because it's in Libra, look at those relationships, right? Because this is the relationship between the masculine and feminine in your brain. But if you're in a relationship, there's a masculine and feminine with you that's reflecting certain things and maybe telling you certain things at this time. Look at it. It may not be right, right? But take your time to analyze it. See if it is right, if it does work for you. You may not even agree at the time when someone tells you, but write it in your journal. Take your notes, take it into your meditation and see if it's right and if it works for you. So, this is my long ass video about the full moon in Aries. Let me know if this made sense. And yo, I want to start doing panels. Like I want to start doing panels. Dre Allah, if you want to read in, you can hit me at, where's my banner? See, I don't even be promoting myself the way I should. I'm bugging. But oh, where's my banner? You can hit me and email me robblackstorm@gmail.com for a reading if you're interested in the reading. But yeah, now's the time for readings because you want to prepare yourself for the winter solstice. This is also the energy preparing you for the winter solstice. And to manifest these big dreams that a lot of us have, we have to be as light as a feather. And we have to address our past issues and our past torment. And we have to address those memories. And we have to, as they say in the church, become born again. And becoming born again is not just you dipping yourself into water physically. It's about you dipping yourself into the waters of your subconscious mind and you tapping in to the element and finding the wave frequency behind your fears, behind your hates, behind your dislikes, right? Because obviously, if you have likes, right, things we all have likes, things that we like and things we enjoy. You don't want to, But if what you enjoy is hurting you, if what you enjoy is not making you as powerful as you could be, if what you enjoy is taking you off the path of godhood, of divinity, of superpowers, then you have to change. And I'm not saying you won't think about it. For instance, I have childhood trauma, I had a very narcissistic mother, you know, love her, but she was very narcissistic. And there was, certain things that happened, certain relationships with my father, dealing with him and his mindset, these things um, often pop up, right? Because traumas always relive themselves. But in my mind, like me and my dad, we're going to a baseball game as a kid because I like baseball as a child. So my imagination is programmed that me and him are going to a baseball game because that's something I wanted him to do as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So it lightens the memory. Doesn't excuse what he did, but enlightens the memory. Me and my mom, we're dancing in the kitchen, right? Again, doesn't mean I don't think about the trauma. Doesn't mean I'm hanging around her. Doesn't mean I'm hanging around him, right? Because they still, some of them still have certain behaviors that I can't really rock with at all times. You know what I'm saying? But when I think about them, it's not as heavy, and I'm not a victim of them anymore because the energy is not as heavy. The resonance of the trauma is not as heavy. But it took me time to reprogram that, over, many, many days. But with this particular one, this is one that spirit is telling me to tell y'all that y'all could really reprogram this shit fast. Like within this window or this week, this window, these 7 days, like you could reprogram your shit. And I don't really know the other aspects. I think Mercury's in Scorpio or something like that. But I just know this is a time for you to go deep within yourself and really change those memories so you could get that shadow healed, so you could be light as a feather, so you could really tap into and be worthy of having spiritual superpowers. Tapping into your psychic abilities and things like that, your ability to move the world through charm and some of your spiritual powers that you think, derive from your subconscious, right, will manifest consciously simply by you being in tune, right? And it'll just happen without thought. That's really the goal. Things will just happen. Ideas will just come, what they call downloads, right? You'll just get this information out of anywhere. But if you're weighed down by what, Trump is doing or what Obama's doing or what, Diddy's doing or what, and I'm not saying you can't indulge in any of these topics or things or, excuse me, or ideas, right? I do. But what I'm saying is you want to really kind of make it a 70-30 split, things that are going to enlighten, educate, and stimulate your energy for this work so you could become God, so you could be walking magic, so you could manifest miracles in your life, so you could get out of poverty, so you could get out of pain, so you could get out of distress, right? And look at things in a different perspective. Like I look at people like on Instagram and stuff like that with, certain disabilities. And some of them come on camera, even with these disabilities, and missing limbs and stuff like that, and facial deformities or whatever, if you consider them deformities, right? And still dress themselves up beautiful, still will put on a smile and dance to entertain people, still will go on live and be funny, and display their personality. You know, Imagine the trauma of being in those situations, or people who come from, certain abusive or war torn situations. There's a level of peace that they've had to make with their trauma and use that as fuel for their growth, use it as fuel for their development, use it as fuel for their healing. And that's really what this full moon is Aries is about. Yes, Aries is about assertive energy and aggressive energy and all that confidence and all that good stuff, right? But if you're not confident in who you are, for real, without any crystals, without the car, without the house, without the whole bunch of money, without financial success, without a relationship, without, certain things, if you're not confident in who you are, for real, then your confidence is fugazi. It's phony. It has no real roots in spirit, right? Because it's based on the things of the world. So we want to start where we should have started as children or as lambs, right? As baby Christ coming into the world, where a lot of us should have started is that spiritual development from the root, right? From the root, because we came from the soil of the soul of the universe, but we needed to be rooted in that. And a lot of us weren't, but we have the chance now to reprogram our traumas and lighten our feather so we can prepare for the winter solstice and prepare for this next new moon of Scorpio, which is on Halloween, which is going to be another time of intensity. Um, and I predict a big celebrity death around that time, so energy could be harvested. But you could harvest energy as well. And again, this is the time for that type of energy. And with that being said, thank you for your time. Thank you for your view. Thank you for your energy. And I just want to say peace, power, and prosperity to everyone. I appreciate you taking your time to listen. Again, I hope this helped someone. This was definitely, I wasn't planning on coming on today, but Spirit was like, yo, you got to talk to them about what's been happening and how to use this energy, like how to really be a god out here. And a lot of people think it's just, I got an altar, I got some books, I did some spells, and voila, I'm a god. Or I was born this certain color or this certain race and this religion, and voila, I'm a god. And it's like, oh, I know this, that other people that know, and voila, I'm a god. No, no. God is seen and heard everywhere. God is seen and heard everywhere, not just the internet, not just on your post. God is when you're around your friends. God is when you're around your friends' wives and husbands. God is the one when you're around your friends' children. God is when you hand your child off to a teacher in school and hope nothing happens to him. And hope the person is trustworthy to be around your child. Man, you want somebody with some God. People be like, oh, do what thou wilt. But you don't want nobody that's just thinking do what thou wilt with your child in school or daycare or a babysitter or a family member. You don't want somebody thinking like that. So there's, again, there's a firewall in the spirit world for a reason. And the reason a lot of us can't get past certain things is because we haven't A, let go of things, B, faced things, or C, playing victim to things. Oh, and let's not forget D, waiting for someone to come save us, or light or a sign. Nigga, your life is a sign. What you want to manifest and bring here is a sign. An angel's not going to drop down from heaven and hand you the gifts that you want to manifest. You're going to have to tap within yourself to get the gifts that you want to manifest. That's the only way, Kimo Sabe. But looking outside, all somebody could do is train you. Nobody can save you. You have to save yourself. We're all chosen. We're all here on planet Earth. We could be dead. We could have been aborted. We're all here on planet Earth. So you have the choice. You have the free will to choose yourself. You have the free will to choose yourself, right? And by choosing yourself and choosing your higher self is your higher self's connection to the world, is to both polarities. And this is what people don't want to talk about in magic and spirituality, because it's going to cut their funds and cut, certain opportunities that benefit them in the financial world or even in the magic world. But the truth is, achieving godhood, it's not about having a magic wand. Achieving the godhood is when your heart is the magic wand. And with that, I would say peace, power, and prosperity again. Rob Blackstone, I'm out. Have a good one.